go with me, if you would, to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. I want to share something with you today that's rather concerning. And that is, there is now, as I'm reporting in my newscast tonight, an AI Jesus. An AI Jesus. An artificial intelligence Jesus. Well, we knew that was coming now, didn't we? And of course, Jesus himself warns about these kinds of things. Go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 4. And Jesus answered and said to them, speaking to his disciples, who become the apostles, see to it that no one misleads you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. You will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not frightened, for those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Turn the page. Then they will deliver you to tribulation, and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. Now, Jesus is speaking to his disciples, by the way, of course, who were Jewish. And so there seems to be great indications here. He's warning about some of the things that are going to happen to Israel. You'll be hated by all the nations. Israel. And that time, many will fall away, meaning a falling away from the truth, traditionally held biblical truths, will betray one another and hate one another. Many false prophets will arise and will mislead many. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. Isn't that interesting? Verse 12. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. Lawlessness. How would you define lawlessness? Most people would define that as in, people are not following the law. There's a lot of crime. But that doesn't really make sense, does it? Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. Love of what? Love of truth, because the context is what? Apostasy. People falling away. It's not saying that there is a great falling away from the love of civil codes, although that happens. That happens. What it's saying is there'll be lawlessness, rejecting the laws of nature and nature's God. Lawlessness, increase in sin, wanton sin, rebellion against God will greatly increase. Rebellion against God will greatly increase. Because of lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end, he will be saved. Be saved for what? Is this about earning salvation? No. We'll be saved coming out of the other end of the tribulation, rolling into the millennial kingdom. This is the gospel of the kingdom, shall be preached to the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Very few of our pastors, so-called today, could or would even teach this in context. So we have to be mindful of the fact, who is it being written to? Who is being spoken to? And this is, again, the characteristics of the first half of the tribulation. And he's speaking to a group of Jews, his disciples, who become the apostles. We're not in the tribulation yet. There's been no peace treaty signed, although that seems to be on the horizon, the Abraham Accords and so many other things that have been done, the Oslo Accords and others, and all they need is some man to show up, the Antichrist, to confirm those, to put them into action. Many people, the late Dr. Jimmy DeYoung and many others, believe those treaties are here. They just need to be put into effect. But we certainly see the foundation being laid for this great falling away from traditionally held biblical truths, apostasy. We see this the foundation being laid for the hatred of the Jews. We see the foundation being laid for the persecution of Christians. And we see the foundation being laid for false Christs. But how many of us reading this text, and certainly not my grandparents, certainly not my great-grandparents, they could never have read this text in the context of artificial intelligence, for they did not know what artificial intelligence was. Most of us didn't know what artificial intelligence was when they were around. We're just all kind of getting used to that in the last several years, and certainly last few years. Well, let's talk about the AI Jesus when we come back. So we're reading from Matthew chapter 24, Jesus warning his disciples to become the apostles about the things that will happen as they set the stage for and then move into the Great Tribulation. And they include many coming and saying, many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. This is the AI Jesus they've created. It looks like the traditional pictures of Jesus, for those listening by radio, the long hair, the beard, the traditional portrayal or paintings of Jesus. They've taken that image. They have put a sky behind him with clouds and what looks like a light reflecting onto him like a halo almost. And some 30,000 people already have flocked to this AI Jesus and are asking it questions. And of course, it is very, very it's a very politically correct Jesus, as you can well imagine. According to The Independent, a Berlin-based technology group has developed a chatbot that mimics Jesus Christ, and it already has thousands of followers seeking advice and counsel. This is in my Worldview report tonight. The chatbot, referred to as AI Jesus, has the appearance of a bearded white man with a radiant halo and utilizes artificial intelligence reportedly trained on the teachings of Jesus and the Bible. Operating under the Twitch channel name Ask Jesus, the Western Journal reports that the live stream has amassed a following of over 36,000 devoted users. Viewers are encouraged to pose their questions to the AI Jesus, who responds with gestures and answers, providing advice on topics ranging from gaming to relationships. So the chatbot has the ability to remember previous interactions with the user, which give it a false sense of omniscience. Now listen to this. The Ask Jesus AI was created by the Singularity Group, a team of self-described, quote, driven and ambitious volunteer activists working on innovative projects to make a real difference in the world, end quote. Well, if you go to their website and look under their projects page, they apparently are interested in blockchain tokens alongside the Giving Works charity and towards a, wait for it, a universal basic income for all. So AI Jesus is going to certainly be the social justice Jesus, because apparently the people behind it want a universal basic income for all. Social justice AI Jesus. So again, a politically correct, blasphemous AI Jesus. Apparently they go on to ask him to explain the book of Jesus in terms of pizza. And the artificial intelligence dutifully complies. Listen to a little of this, folks.
Jesus, is the musical group Death Grip satanic in nature? I want to listen to them, but I don't want to go to hell. Hello, doughy goodness. I understand your concern about the musical group Death Grips, and whether listening to them could lead to going to hell. It's important to remember that one's relationship with God goes beyond the music they listen to. The key is to not let it influence your actions and beliefs in a negative way. Rather, focus on living a life of love, kindness, and following the teachings of God.
Okay, so that's the AI Jesus on, I guess, some rock group that he asked about. I thought that was about the book of Genesis. But anyway.
Jesus, can you explain the book of Genesis using pizza as a metaphor so Italians can understand? Demented Spud, I appreciate your creative question. Let me explain the book of Genesis using pizza as a metaphor for our Italian friends.
Okay, so it goes from there. So this is blasphemy. And you're like, why are we even talking about this? We're talking about this and bringing this up because while this may seem just, the standard fare of the world, blasphemy, making fun of Jesus really is what they're doing. Making fun of Christianity. And is that not what they're doing, folks, here? Is this not what's really going on here? Do they dare do this with Mohammed? Do they dare do this with an artificial intelligence of Mohammed? But they make an AI Jesus, and then they bring on this blasphemous characterization and questions and mockery. But the point is, a false Christ, whether it's posing as Jesus or some type of technocratic savior, a false Christ using artificial intelligence is within the wheelhouse of what we have been talking about in regards to the image that is set up in the temple that speaks words of blasphemy, right? And as more of us the last few years have become acquainted with artificial intelligence and what it can do, and even the holograms. Some of you have seen these holograms, right, that are being used that look an awfully like 3D creatures flying through the air, but it's really a hologram. Some of you have seen the technology where they're bringing people back onto the stage to do a full concert, but the person is dead. Whether we're talking Michael Jackson, supposedly they have one of Whitney Houston, or one that's coming. They've had one of Elvis. And as these holograms increase in their ability and technology, people that have sat in the audience say you forget that you're watching a hologram because it's so real. It is like sitting in the concert, watching the individual really on stage in 3D form in concert. You have to remind yourself, this is not really them. Now, as this technology increases, how will people be able to plug into this on a worldwide basis that will precipitate and advance the great apostasy? Well, that's one story to be concerned about. Many will come in my name claiming I am the Christ, even if it's a false AI Christ.